Thank you, Elroy. As he stated, we had been talking the last several months, and I confirmed a month ago to be here today, to talk about how we must deal with the decrease in black home ownership and to come with ways to deal with it. We thought that it was a way to show a bipartisan way of economic empowerment that we could work together as Americans. When Mr. Kemp, who works with Elroy on this, came forward, I remembered his father, who worked as a Republican across the aisle with many programs in our urban community. And I remember when President Barack Obama was in office, he asked me to tour this country with Newt Gingrich, who we were diametrically opposed to politically, but went on a 5-city tour to talk about education. So I reached out to our leadership and Larry Young, who's led National Action Network's chapter here for a couple of decades and who is the voice of black radio in this city, the head of NAACP and others. But as importantly, the former chair of the Republican Party, Michael Steele, because I wanted people to understand this was not a partisan effort. This was not a dump anybody effort. This was about empowerment, and all of us have an investment in that. Little did I know that Mr. Trump was going to, on the eve of this, attack the congressman from this city. And not only the congressman, but the people of this city in the most bigoted and racist way. He attacks everybody. I know Donald Trump, he's not mature enough to take criticism. He can't help it. He's like a child. Somebody says something, he reacts. He's thin-skinned and not really matured that well. But he has a particular venom for blacks and people of color. He doesn't refer to any of his other opponents or critics as infested. He does not attack their districts. He attacks Nancy Pelosi, he attacks Chuck Schumer, he attacks other whites, but he never said that their districts or their states are places that no human being wants to live. The fact of the matter is, Elijah Cummings' district is the most well-educated and middle-class aspiring district of blacks in this country. And he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Elijah Cummings is a respected and well-regarded member of Congress. And for him to be angry at Mr. Cummings, because Mr. Cummings has the moral standing to question how migrant children are being treated at the border, is an abomination to me. I am also going to be stepping in the meeting that the Baptist Ministers Conference has. And this conference deals with the whole question of, that's right, thank you, Mr. Trump's agent. Now, as we deal with these questions, and we were told there's a group of Trump folks that we know who they are, that they supposed to be. As we deal with the as we deal with the Baptist ministers who have the moral authority to deal with migrant workers. So we got to deal with this issue. And we're going to take it on, and we're going to take on all of those that oppose. But I think we can't lose vision. As for his attacks on me personally, Donald Trump, and I've known each other 25 years. I marched on him with Central Park 5. I've dealt with him on the birther issue. He can say what he wants. Call me a troublemaker? Yes, I make trouble for bigots. I made trouble for him with Central Park. I made trouble with him for birtherism. I'm going to keep making trouble for bigots. As far as me being a con man, if he really thought I was a con man, he'd be nominating me for his cabinet. So he doesn't believe that, because if you remember, right after he was elected, he called me personally and asked me to come meet with him. And he sent Omarosa to come and meet with me. So he doesn't believe that, but he's playing a race-divisive card. We are here to talk about how we build together and get something done. In that spirit, let me bring the former chair of the Republican National Committee, when Republicans were Republicans, in the spirit of Jack Kemp and others, Michael Steele.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Reverend Al. It is really great to be back in this wonderful city called Baltimore. I've got basically 3 messages that I'd like to put on the street today. I had the extreme honor and pleasure of serving not just the state, but working directly with the people of the city as Lieutenant Governor of Maryland during the early Steele administration. And what I found and understood most was how concerned and engaged the people of this community and communities like this all across the state have been. So I have basically 3 messages. In the wake of, as Elroy noted at the beginning, in the wake of what is a continuing housing crisis, a continuing crisis to finance those who are looking for a home, to hold their home, that we find the resources, the time, and the efforts to partner with this community as opposed to talking about this community. We find the time, the resources, the energy, and the effort to work with this community as opposed to disparaging this community. So the first message I have is to the President of the United States. Mr. President, your reprehensible comments are like water off a duck's back when it comes to this community. It just washes over them. It doesn't stick to them. It does not stain them. So my ask to you, sir, is to join me, to join Jimmy Kemp, to join others in this community here, in this space, on this ground. Let's walk this community, sir. Let's talk to these folks face to face, and you'll begin to realize and appreciate the hard work and the commitment that they have made. The resources that they need, you can help with. The energy they have, you will benefit from. And begin to understand why this is such a vibrant and important community. This is a place where people raise their families. This is a place where kids go to school. This is a place where businesses thrive, strive, struggle, find success, just as they do anywhere else across the state of Maryland or across the United States. We are no different. We are not defined by the color of our skin. We're not defined by 400 years of slavery. That is a part of who we are. It is what animates us. But it doesn't define us. It doesn't limit us. So, Mr. President, come on down. The streets are ready for you. The neighborhoods are ready for you. Folks want to talk to you. So just show up. Put the tweet down, brother, and show up. That's all you have to do. It's not complicated. 2, to the people of Baltimore, you are resilient, you are strong, and you are so much better than anything that anyone ever has to say negative about you. You know that. You don't have to worry about that. So work with us. Help us help you. Put out there what you need. Make the leadership accountable to you. Tell them what is lacking. Put in place the leadership you need to help you get the resources and do the things to build all of this district and districts across the city and the state. This is ours, folks. You know, we can sit back and we can complain and moan about what someone said or what hasn't been done. At some point, we have to get up and walk into that moment, too. At some point, we have to look at the black-owned businesses in this community and decide how we help them, how we support them, how we grow them. At some point, we need to look at our housing and our public school system and ask ourselves, how do we make it better? Elected officials only have a limited bandwidth. You broaden and lengthen that bandwidth when you get engaged, when you get involved. So to the people of Baltimore and the people of this congressional district, this is your moment to show Baltimore and to show America your resilience and what you're made of and what you're prepared to do as well. The third message I have is more broadly speaking. There is still a bubble that will pop when it comes to our housing crisis in this country. 3 million people, 3 million people lost their homes in that 2008 crisis. 1 million people were evicted from their homes. And yet, how easy is it today to get a loan? Our community is still being redlined. That's why partnerships with Bank of America and other financial institutions are so important. And I applaud and support their efforts to come to the table and want to begin to work with this community to resolve. That's what this was originally about. That's why we were originally called here. That's what we've been planning for 30 days, to come here and have the next step in the conversation with this community, to put together the action items that we will need to act on when this moment is over, when we leave this building. We got sidetracked, but we should not be distracted, because the work that needs to be done to improve housing for this community, the work that needs to be done that will then benefit and flow out in education, in business, and other things, it matters. It is the time now to do this. That's why we were gathered here. That's why we wanted to have this conversation. So I appreciate the Shiloh family for opening up their heart and their home for us to be here today to have this conversation. Folks, don't get distracted by the tweet. Don't get blinded by the noise. Don't get all caught up in the ratcheted crazy, because you do that, then all of this gets lost. I want to bring up Jimmy Kemp. Jimmy has been doing some incredible work, and I've had the pleasure of working with his dad back in the day, and it's even more of a pleasure now to work with him and what he's doing in housing, in education, community activism, awakening and bringing resources, real resources to real people every day. So Jimmy, I'll give you a moment. Thank you very much for what you're doing, buddy.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be back at New Shiloh Baptist Church, and Pastor Carter, thank you for hosting this before all the media attention was coming. As everybody said, this was going to happen. And part of the reason why the Jack Kemp Foundation is involved is because, A, we're based in D.C., Baltimore's close. We've been here with events with Joe Jones from the Center for Urban Families, who's right across the street. We've been up here with Munir Bahar, with Derek Chase in Baltimore. We did a Kemp Forum on police community relations a few years ago at Coppin State. Equality of opportunity is what we're shooting for. And when I was driving here from D.C., there's not equality of opportunity in this country. We've got a lot of political division. Unbelievably, or maybe unfortunately believably, we still have incredible racial division in this country, and it takes all of us to address it. And in the political dysfunction we find ourselves, whatever you say about President Trump, he is disrupting the way things that have been happening. And so in every challenge, there's an opportunity. And I appreciate this opportunity to have this attention to focus on issues of housing and what, there are many in the political atmosphere who think that all corporations are bad and evil. Well, everybody wants a good job. Everybody wants there to be real investment. And it takes the community to help identify where those good investment opportunities are. And I drove through a bunch of row houses on Monroe Street. Half of them are vacant, half of them are occupied. Those people who are stuck in there, those are the people who we need to learn from and policymakers need to hear from. And that's a part of what this effort is. And that's what the Jack Kemp Foundation wants to highlight and bring to bear. And I appreciate the attention and opportunity and time to be with all of you. And God bless America, God bless Baltimore, and let's get to work.
Thank you. Well, thank you all again. The Lord works in mysterious ways. We wanted to have a small discussion with about 10 people, our friends from Bank of America, our friends from the academic and thought leadership community, but there was a different plan, of course. And, actually, I'm going to thank everyone again for coming out. We're going to go inside and begin our discussions about housing. We're going to begin our discussions about working with Bank of America and working with the community leaders and the faith-based leaders here in Baltimore to begin to let's make Baltimore great again. How about that? Any questions?
Can you just talk about it roughly, like the plan in terms of the housing? Are you talking about Bank of America investing in money to renovate row houses? I mean, what? Because I know this meeting was planned before the tweet
Sure.
got started. I mean, talk about.
What's your name, sir?
Camille Harris.
Camille Harris. Camille, thank you for that question. We, as I indicated, back when President Trump was elected, a group of black Republicans and white Republicans, red, yellow, and brown, and Democrats and Libertarians, we got together and began to engage the administration to talk about how do we bring better housing to all Americans. So this just did not start 30 days ago. It started many years ago. Even back to when I worked with Congressman J.C. Watts working on the American Community Renewal and New Markets Tax Credit. But more recently to your question, we started with a op-ed that was published in The Hill. You all can probably still pull that up by Michael Steele. It was titled